Okay, good morning. Happy Saturday. As you can see, we still don't have a cameraman, so you'll just have to bear with me. Today we're going to go over several things. Actually, number 6 of that set of Leoho basics, which is the ankle kick. It also is present in Bagua. We'll also go over a few of the ones in the final set. The final set was put together by Master Yang and myself, just as the set that I'm showing you now, out of the forms themselves. This habit, this practice was something that was very common among Grandmaster Liu, as well as Grandmaster Su. Instead of sticking only to the old basics, they broke down the things inside each of the forms, which the forms are basically just books, recordings of all the techniques, a good way to remember them. And they would take the pieces out and use those to facilitate growth for each individual. So what Master Yang and I have done is looked at all the different techniques that we thought would change the way that a person moves to a degree where they're synchronized both left and right, and they're able to exhibit extreme power, okay? So, enough of that talk, and we'll start with number 6. Now technically this set comes after the first 3 sets that were the originals. And those are, if you go through the archives or go through the earlier Patreon, there's a whole section where I do basics from 7-star praying mantis and Babu praying mantis. And there's a little bit of Leoho in there with the first 3 sets as well. Master Ding Zicheng was the one that developed that, and then it was passed on. Now, not all of them, but this 3rd set was developed by Master Ding, and Master Su put the whole group of them together. These 2 sets of Leoho specific techniques will change even your Baji. So we really went over these a lot of time. Now this technique is very common. It's almost in every single one of the Leoho forms, and it's called an ankle kick. It's also, like I said, in Bagua, and sometimes there's blades on the foot that are used, especially in the Bagua family. Now, without the blade on the tip of the toe, which we're going to assume that nobody has, the outside edge of the heel, let me get this shoe off and show you, so it's much more specific. Okay, so this part of the heel is the cutting edge, okay? And you turn it a little bit so that it hits like this. So it's going to go across and whack. Now you can turn the heel if you raise it up. Grandmaster Su is famous for using it on the floating ribs. You can also use it on the head, although I really don't recommend that high kicking unless you're a dynamo, because today's martial artists are getting better and better. And you're going to run into somebody that's really fast and they're going to grab your leg or they're going to do worse. I'll try to stick back up. Okay, so in the old days they just kind of put it out there like that. Okay? So the inside of the ankle is the target of choice. This is just for us. You know, obviously all of you are paying for this information. The inside of the ankle has an artery in it. If you take the time to reach down there and use your fingers behind your ankle bone, dig around a little bit, you'll find it. The object of this kick is to break that bone and even perhaps sever that artery, causing somebody to have to completely disengage from the battle and put a tourniquet on or whatever they have to do. So, in order to get power from it, I use force multiplication with everything. So, the old style, they just swung it like that. And it goes behind you because it's a trap. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. But before I do that, I want to show you the force multiplication. So I'm going to use a slingshot effect, which comes out of Baji. It's principles where, well actually I'd say more like P1. Principles where as it opens up, it continues. So my elbow joint, if I do a chop, my elbow joint, when this straightens out, the upper part of my arm, the arm releases. So you're doing this side. So I go, okay? It's a lot better than just going like this. So what I'm going to do with my leg is the same thing. I'm going to bring it and slingshot it with the knee. So I'll bring the leg down, knee first, till I get, I'd say probably within 6 inches, maybe 12 inches, 12 to 6 inches to the target. And I will get the timing right so that I hit it perfectly. So you get this. Okay. So it's going to cut across. You have to practice keeping your heel out. See if I can face the camera. You have to only hit with your heel. If you hit with your toe, you're going to break it, unless you have steel toes on. And even then, you're probably going to wrench your ankle a little bit. So you actually hit with the heel. So the way to practice this is just like I just did, skimming something lightly. Over and over and over again. Skimming, skimming. You can even do it on a trick, you just go slow. Step behind, walk, turn towards the target, skim, step behind, walk, turn towards the target, skim, step behind, walk. 2, 3, skim, behind. 2, 3, skim, behind. 2, 3, skim, behind. 2, 3. So I'm stepping in. If I step here, and this is the target, I go behind. Step 1 around. Step towards the inside of my foot towards the target. Step behind as a recoil effect. Now the behind part, we'll get to the hands in a minute, but the behind part is a trap. So if his leg, if he has his left leg forward, okay, and I'm going to hit it, I might chop, kick. If I miss or he blocks and he pursues, I'm going to turn and hit the other leg. So he pulls this up, I'm going to turn and hit the other leg. Or if he steps in, I'm going to turn and hit the other leg. You can hit the outside of the ankle, there's no rule against that. You can hit the knee, and that's just as effective. What you're going to do though is you're going to change the foot trajectory. So right now, we're using the edge of the heel to hit the ankle. You start going to the knee, and the heel gets more like a scorpion kick. So if I go for a knee, it might be like that, okay? You're going to want to use the flower, and the reason why the flower is there is because it's multi-directional. It gives you almost the same result as Schwung, which that's a form in Liuba, and it basically means invincibility or like a shield. They call it like double whips or whatever. But the point being that the whips are your shield. They create your shield because they're moving so quickly. So the flower part goes 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Both hands. this hand, throw it. Both hands, touch this hand, throw it. So you're going to go in sequence. And there's a way to break this down to understand a little bit better. You do the first kick. Then you walk, 1, 2, strike the groin, kick, 1, strike the groin, kick. Okay, so that's a little known addition to the Leah hook kick. And I've known masters that have done this for years, they didn't even know about the groin strike. Okay, so we have that groin strike in Baji as well, but it's right out of Dan Chui. Alright? Dan Chui does not have this kick. It has slide jaw type of sweeps, but it doesn't have this kick. But it does have the groin strike. So the groin strike comes out of this one, where they do this. That's not actually how it's done. That's done to hide the true intention. So it has the same, and I'm not moving on from the kick, I just want to show you where the other part comes from. So it has the same result. If I go 1, 2, 3, when the shoulder hits, that hits naturally. Okay? So when you go, get a shoulder into the rib cage, it won't here. But use the Baji rules if you're going to do that. I think we did rolling shoulders last week. Make sure you cover your carotid. You know, your head's going to be right next to him. It's going to be tempting for him to try to get you in the guillotine or to cut you or whatever, or smack it, whatever they're going to do. If your hand's already there, you've already got your packaged defense mechanism. So you kick, open, dragon stance, kick, open, dragon stance, kick. Now, in the form that I put together to sum up the proliferation of Leah hook and how to multiply the force, the typhoon form, I do it two-handed out, and that's because of daggers. Okay, two-handed out is daggers. One hand in is a two-handed parry, but it also becomes a chop. So your two-handed parry that we're going to go when we start doing some of the forms. Not only does it move his arm way out of the way, but it also chops. So you don't have to change that motion. And that's why it's so important. You know, a lot of this stuff, when we get to the nitty-gritty of Leah hook praying mantis, you're going to see it's just gross motor skills. It's real simple. You practice these things and they come out naturally. It's almost like, it's literally almost like a monkey invented it, because the arm movements are very monkey-like, even though it has nothing to do with the monkey. It's not Tony Bay or anything. It's just the mechanics. They're perfect, they're flawless. And, you know, far be it from me to criticize any other style, but this particular one is very, very simple after you've trained your neural pathways to gain that type of functionality. Okay, so enough of that. So the flower is opening. So if there's a fist coming this way or a fist coming this way, it gets parried. Now you can see that also in the 7-star forms where they hit underneath the chin. Okay? In the Leah hook form, they're not using it for that purpose. They're using it to double strike. Get rid of this shoelace. So I'm chopping the throat and kicking the ankle at the same time. Or at least trying to, which means their mind is going to be disintegrated in the actual integrated term. So integration means everything's together. Disintegrated means they're separated. So that's what you're trying to do. anything in Leah Hood, that's like that's the most important goal, okay? Hugely important. So I'm going to use two hands to clear. I'm going to look back as if I'm going to retreat, and they practice it like this. Now in the Master Zhang Sanshan, he has a Zaya form. And my master trained with him as well, not just Grandmaster Liu. Master Zhang is Master Zai from Taiwan. That's his master, okay? Master Zhang was also a disciple of Ding Zichen with Grandmaster Liu. Master Zhang was the older disciple. In fact, I think he was the oldest, but that doesn't really matter. He was older than Grandmaster Liu. So he did most of the original teaching of this style to all the masters. So Master Su, Master Yang, and Master Zai together went to see Master Zhang. Master Zai was the only one that was a direct disciple of Master Zhang. But because they were Kung Fu brothers, Grandmaster Liu also took care of Master Zai. So that's just the, when masters are very close, they share students like that, and even allow them to go through other masters' doors. So, except for Wutan. Wutan, you go in one door from one Wutan master, and that's it. You don't need another ceremony. You're in everybody's door. At least that's the way it used to be. Okay, so that's that for number 6. Now we're going to move on to the next set. Now this one is one of my favorite techniques. So these rolling fists come from Dan Chui. So they actually twist. Okay? In Dan Chui they call it a short punch. It's a double punch, okay? Dan Chui is based on double punch, not double, short punch. That's what it means. It means like short hammer or short punch. All the punches need to be whittled down to a point where you're 5 inches from somebody's face and you can just blast them. And that's what Dan Chui does. So this is a double punch out of Dan Chui. But I've taken it a step further, and I checked with Master Yang, obviously. We actually put the set together during COVID via FaceTime. So it actually worked out a little good because I had plenty of time to make sure that it's perfect for him. And so that my students can gain speed, power, and aggression, or violence of action, whichever you prefer. So you're going to go 1, 2. Okay? So 1, 2. Do it again. You're going to go 1, 2. Now this circle is continuous and there's no stop. I'm counting 1, 2, but it's not 1, 2, it's 1. There's 2 jing. There's vertical circular, horizontal circular jing with a little bit of vertical mixed. So it's like this type of circle here. Instead of this circle, which is perfect horizontal, it's this circle here. Okay? So you're integrating, you're integrating both of the circular jings. Also, it's Chensa jing. That's coming out of here. When you turn your hands like that, your waist is coiling. And that's why they have that. That's why you notice if you're sword fighting, the yellow one's out. See? If I point and go here, that's going to allow that coiling. So anytime you turn your hand, your body starts to get used to actually performing in those spiral motions. So the first motion is just a clear. Now I'm breaking it down, but this is all one motion. Okay, so my waist, and then I'm falling. Falling is a force multiplier. We talk about that all the time. Okay, so I'm falling both times. Now you can use the falling, you can use the rising, you can use all these different things. You can use momentum from circles, and the vertical and the horizontal jing, all of that from the pigou motions. But that all should be present at the end of your training of this technique. So the first strike is upon either their arm, or if you can get a headshot, that's great. Throw, double punch. Now here's where you get very effective. So you're this close to the target. You just hit it, in fact. Took out obstructions or hit them, you just hit it, which gives you a few inches back, okay? So when I get hit, I move a little bit, I might move a lot. Depends on how strong the hitter is. So your instant pursuit is going to come on a Baji Quan. So you're going to use the charging step to launch your chop. So we're using Baji to propel Liu, if that makes sense. And it's not noticeable. So even though, say you're trying to play in front of people, do a demonstration or whatever, and they're looking for pure Liu, you can do this and pull it off without anybody noticing that you put the Baji in there. So your hand opens up, and you. So I didn't pull it back. That's the important thing. So I hit, hit. Okay? And the reason why I say you can hide that in there is because Liu praying mantis, even 7-star praying mantis, has that propulsion jump forward. It just looks a little bit different. Okay? So all I'm doing is adding the end of the charging step without actually turning the foot all the way around. So the basic charging step, you turn the foot all the way around, right? I can do that at a master's level without turning the foot. So I still get the same motion. Okay? So that's the methodology of the chop. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to whip down to the groin. And yes, these techniques in the final set are multiples. They're more, and actually all of them are able to be exponentially multiplied. And that's the way that they were designed. So you go 1, 2, 3, groin, behind the neck. You go 1, 2, 3, groin, behind your neck. One, 2, 3, groin, behind the neck. Okay, so you're probably noticing that there's also a throw in there. Absolutely. When I go into the groin, I'm going to do just like Babu praying mantis or 7-star praying mantis does, and even Baji does, if you hear. Okay. When I step behind him to hit the groin, if I go here, this leg's here. I can go through his legs. So my foot is not all the way in front of him because I don't want to alert him. So if he's right here, this is his head. If I hit the groin, I'm not going to put it here because he'll stomp on it. I could put it there afterwards, okay? As soon as I hit the groin, he's going to have his mind disintegrated again, right? Well, like we talked about. So I'm here, then I can stomp it out in front of him and do like a bung bu throw. Bung bu's throws here. So the man is in between the arm and the hip in our version of bung bu. So that's the first one of the final set that we play a lot to try to get energy. And the energy that we're trying to get in this particular technique, with the exception of the last strike is full on, full body motion, is close range Baji. Because this is the one that you're going to be most likely to have to be able to use. And it's the most difficult to get. So go back through all the basics with the mindset that you're going to have to perfect this energy and make it small. Okay? That's the problem with most martial artists. They don't listen to their master. I can't tell you how many times my master told me and the whole class, and they say, what's the secret? He always said the same thing. It's the basics. So when you're doing your Fajing, your long-range Fajing, if you're going to do this technique, you want to break this down, make it huge, 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 huge. Then make it medium, 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 medium. Do 10 slow, 1 fast. Go back to 10 more slow, 1 fast, at all ranges, large, middle, or small. And it'll start to come out. Once it does, you're going to be patting yourself on the back because this stuff is not that complicated if you go back and do the basics. All right, you guys have a wonderful week.